session to order for this evening, Monday, September 29th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Present.
Here. Present.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, somebody else touch my chair because mine's not making that noise. All right, so the first item for tonight's meeting is the town manager's report. Emily?
Thank you, Mayor. So we're on packet page 2 for everybody. A couple updates. So we are still working on closing out the RFP for the sidewalk project. So I have passed over to Olan the plat and deed. We're going to be getting those recorded. We have a couple punch list items. That we're going to be going through. I will say on Friday, Katie, our town engineer, and I walked the sidewalk because we had noticed in previous walkings that there are chips of it missing out. Interestingly, when you walk east, it's harder to see than if you're walking west. So if you happen to walk it, if you're walking towards Town Hall, you'll notice it a little bit more. So we took pictures, took note of that. Katie is working on sending over those images and documentation to M&F Concrete. So we are hoping to go ahead and get ahead of that conversation before we close out the final on the project. So we're working on that. They're also turning into us an as-built. So they were out, if you saw them Friday, they were also out there doing surveying work. That's what they were doing.
Oh, that
Yes.
was them. I thought it might have been the stormwater folks.
No. So we're doing as-built surveying for the sidewalk on Friday.
Can I ask a question? Relative to the closeout, we still have some financial obligation there.
Yes.
Roberto? Yeah, nothing large though, right? It's smaller, or what do you think? It is pretty big.
It's already
Final-
It's already been captured in 2024,
Right.
2025. I apologize, 2025 FY. There may be a few little amounts. in
There
this
could be
new budget
small
we can adjust for. It's
amounts.
small.
Okay, we
We're
can,
under that 1%.
all right, maybe we can talk about that at finance a little
It
bit.
is way under the budgeted amount. still.
Okay,
So we also have some left over.
okay. And there's that sign on Coach. I
Yes,
get a
so
lot of
all
questions
of our,
from
all
neighbors.
that to say, all of those construction signs that say one of them's broken and it's half there, but anything that says road work ahead, all of those are in relation to the sidewalk. We have to wait until we close out the VDOT permit for those to come down. So this is all part of trying to close that permit out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
If
Yes.
you don't mind, in terms of the sidewalk, some sort of a standard when it comes to the coloring, the pigmentation and all,
Yes.
we've talked about that, right?
Yes.
So what do we need to do that moving forward, there is some sort of consistency?
So what we did with M&F Concrete when we did our sidewalk is we got all the specifications for that. And then now we have that. So when I meet with developers and they ask for the spec sheet for the sidewalk, we're able to give them that to match what we put in at the park. Furthermore, I would say next time we do our zoning ordinance update, to put that spec sheet information in there would be best practice.
And my understanding is at some point, we're gonna replace the existing.
Yes, we would like to
To
move
concrete,
through
right.
with replacing the existing brick.
To stamped concrete.
That's correct.
In terms of maintaining stamped concrete, right? Especially, for example, if they're damaged, what have you, I don't think it's gonna be as straightforward, right? As just replacing a brick here or two. So any insight into
So
that?
what we planned out with the park project is we did relief cuts every 5 feet so that as needed, when we need to replace portions of it, we would be looking at that 5-foot section being replaced and stamped and colored as appropriate. Of course, when it, if it's been there for a couple years and then we're having to replace a 5-foot section, coloring might not be spot on as you have some fading over time. But the general idea would be have your 5-foot sections and we would be able to replace those.
All right, good.
Any other sidewalk questions? Nope. Okay. Quick update on the stormwater assessment program. We just had another grant follow-up meeting, so they're going to be scheduling coming out and doing surveying work soon. We're able to capture a lot of great data with the site plans and as-built that we already had on file, as well as our extensive walk that we did a couple weeks back. So that is moving along very well. We are going to keep focusing on areas 1 and 2. Both areas fall in the Fayette Street Jefferson corridor. Just kind of jumping ahead on a couple things because we have been through them. I do want to bring attention to the strategic plan. So just kind of putting this back on your radar in about 1 month on November 1st. It's a Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're all going to be here, and Dr. Stephanie Davis is going to be here with us to do another strategic plan session. It's 1 year in review. Let's see how we're doing, where we are, and any amendments. So right now, when I look at my working document for the strategic plan, I have one item. I apologize off the top of my head. I can't remember which one it is, but I do know it was from Council Member Passanello, and it's in regards to, I believe, something finance related. So if you have any other amendments or adjustments or additions that you would like to see, make sure to let me know. I'm trying to keep track of them in a working document so that we can continue a productive conversation with Dr. Davis. Any questions on that topic?
Yes. What time again?
8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Everybody got a calendar invite a couple weeks back when I scheduled it. So
Yeah.
hopefully everybody's still able to make it.
I just want to make sure I put it in my phone.
Okay, yes. And we'll provide a light pastry, some type of breakfast in the morning. I'll get with you and we'll kind of let you know what it is ahead of time. But our goal is to have everybody out of here by lunchtime.
So that you don't have to take them.
Yes, so we don't have to pay for lunch. That's correct, Alexander.
He likes.
Yes. Okay.
And I think it right.
We have signed the agreement with our website redesign with Civic Plus, and so we are working through that initial phase. I'll have an updated timeline for everybody in the coming weeks once we really start getting going on that one.
Can we just go back to the park building thing?
Mhm.
So where are we with the whole concept? Is that going to be done with the strategic discussion on the first?
The park building?
Yeah, the pavilion and what we talked about doing the outreach.
My last task item on that is that I'm getting the RFP completed. So I'm working with Olan on that. I will say we're probably not going to hit our October 6th posting date that we had wanted, but I am hopeful that we'll hit it by October 14th. If I can post it on the 13th, I will. That is conference day. So we're probably 1 week delayed on posting the RFP.
And this is for the planning
That's for the
level as
planning
well
and
as the design.
engineering,
Yeah.
architectural and engineering.
And your window on that would be what, 45 days, 60 days?
I would like to do it for 45 days. I will say we had really great responses in quantity. I don't know about quality, but in quantity, we had a great number of responses on our last RFP that we posted utilizing the state procurement website. So I fully intend to go back through. We need to post that per the Procurement Act. We'll do that action, and I think it'll really turn out some great options. We can also, as we see fit, reach out and send the RFP to some engineering companies that might have interest in it.
Could you carry that in your report going forward, the RFP? Did I
Yes,
miss it somewhere?
What I'll do is I'll switch over where it says park building.
Okay, great.
I'll switch that over to start being the planning engineering RFP.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on down, I said this in passing, I don't believe that we've met since, but I heard back from the CXO regarding the training facility for the police department use. They looked back at all of their minutes and information, and they're gonna proceed forward with a new directive to get it so that our police department is able to use the facility free of charge. So, that was a positive move in the right direction.
Can I ask about those CXO meetings?
Sure.
You have an agenda, right?
Yes, so we typically have an agenda. What we had this past time is all of the department heads for the different department agencies at Prince William were also in attendance. So this time was a lot of updates on what those departments are doing in the local towns. We went through everything from transportation grants to working through with the fire chief, getting them out here for more fire inspections. So very comprehensive. CXO Shorter also asked us what we need help with, what we would like to discuss at our follow-up meetings. And so we do put out there some agenda items we want to talk about. Some of the things that I've specifically requested are working with building development regarding our building permitting process and our site plan review process. So for council's awareness, I do all of the site plan review, and then we send it over to the county when it's ready for building permitting. We are occasionally having hiccups where something on the site plan needs to be amended and it comes back through our cycles, and sometimes that delays projects. So we're trying to figure out a way to streamline that and avoid that burden on those business owners as we can. We've also talked about possible grant assistance, and my most recent topic that I brought up directly with Rick Canizales is our intersection. So I mentioned and referenced the 250 townhouses that are going to be put in here on Heathcote and Old Carolina, just outside of town. And I asked them if they would please sit down with us as a town and be ready to speak on the intersection here at Jefferson and Washington. I have stated that we're having significant concerns when it comes to our AM, PM rush hours, but really it's any time of day now, and how they could assist us with any kind of funding or any type of studies to help us prove to VDOT that we at least need to do a changing in the timing. So they're going to be following up with me on that one. Our next meeting is November 21st, but certainly as needed, I can reach out and share additional topics if there are topics of interest from council.
And are they the ones that are tracking?
Yes,
What you talk
so
about?
Chris Shorter and his team are tracking the agenda items. I mean, I have my detailed notes from it that I can happily discuss in detail with anyone. I would just say, let's set a separate meeting to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
If that worked for council. Okay. Okay, so moving on, we are doing different repair maintenance work here on the town hall building as well as our other buildings on the complex. So I'll keep everybody continuously updated on those items. Robinson's Paradise, we are still awaiting, so that was our stormwater concern and flooding. We're still awaiting the geotechnical report. There has been staff turnover in DR Horton, so we're having a difficult time tracking that down. I will say we do hold all of the bonds right now, so we are confident we can get the information. It's just a matter of timing at this point, but we are working to get the geotechnicals to start looking at the soil makeup and how everything was designed in that area. I recently received a draft franchise agreement from Comcast. I also have a point of contact now to reach out to Verizon regarding a franchise agreement discussion. Citizens have always requested that we look into Verizon as an option. So we will do that per the request of our citizens. And then last kind of big administration part, updating is Roberto and I are going to be bringing several proposed amendments to some of our current policies that the town has. So our procurement policy, we've been discussing this with our finance liaisons. Roberto is also going to be working on preparing an investment policy, and then we'll have a travel and conference policy as well. So we'll be bringing those probably towards the end of October for that work session. And I sat with Katie on Friday, did a in-depth discussion of all of our open land use planning applications and projects. So kind of the biggest ones for everybody to be aware of, we are currently reviewing the site plan for Chick-fil-A for the special use permit that was approved for that second drive-through lane. We are also looking at reviewing a storage lot back behind Sheets over the private railroad crossing. There's the 2 storage lots. We're reviewing a site plan for that area. We've also received the last submission for the Carter School plan. So that is here on Washington Street in front of the Van Meter neighborhood. That is for a daycare facility and retail or office. And then we also just recently received 2 single-family home lot plans for down at the end of Fayette Street, closest to the railroad tracks, in that vacant area there. Are there any questions on land use planning? I can go more in depth, but I'm trying for the sake of time to keep it brief.
Ken?
The 2 lots down off of Fayette,
Mhm.
is that the area that they subdivided into 3 lots?
That's
Or-
correct.
Okay.
That is, and I did recently notice, I don't know if anybody's been down there recently, but a for sale sign was up on it last week. So I did notice that as well.
Is it me? Maybe because I read it very quickly. We're uncovering some issues. You're finding
Yes.
stuff with as-built and site plans.
Yes,
In
I
other
am.
locations?
Yes, I am. Katie and I are partnering up. We're gonna work through it all. Katie's gonna start coming in weekly, and we're gonna have a standing meeting on Wednesdays to get through a lot of this. We did owe a couple apologies out to some of our developers because of some timelines missed on our part regarding returns of comments. So we're working through it. Thankfully, everyone right now has been very patient with us and understanding. So I greatly appreciate that from all of our developers. I know that's not always the case, but we've had good luck in that right now. We have a plan moving forward. Katie and I are working through it. I will say when I go to VML, I am hopeful to meet with some of the different parties there to have discussions, get ideas, and then come back to council with our long-term plan. But right now, that is our temporary, that's our current fix of where we're at. I will say our board and commission have also been very understanding. We've moved a couple meetings to help with week of Haymarket Day schedule and how busy that gets for myself and staff. So I just appreciate everybody working with us and understanding as we work through it.
Well, good on you.
We're trying. We always keep moving. So all is well. I've gotten a lot of funny phone calls recently of, "Are you Emily Lockhart?" And I'm like, "Yes." And so we have a couple new projects coming in. So it's going to be a busy season. We have people who are actually interested here in the Jefferson Street vacant lots and developing that. So things are moving. It has not slowed down. And we'll just keep managing it.
So, Justin?
Real quick, are these all the bonds that are, or from your land use, are these all the active and completed bonds, or is there more or less, or these are all of them?
Let me rephrase that question just a little bit. So in the green, these are all of the major large-scale open projects. So they have not been closed out yet. Some projects are already on bond because they're in construction phase or they're finishing up construction phase. But some projects are not yet on bond because they're still in a site plan review phase. So these are all of our major open land use disturbance projects. What I do not track here, and I will say I don't intend to track here is the zoning approvals that we do. So zoning approvals are for anything that requires a building permit. So you have to come to the town first, get a letter written by myself, or I'm going to actually be working with Kim to help me on that. But I'll have my signature on allowing that zoning to go through. And I also minor zoning permits, I also don't track on here. Those are your smaller scale things like a roof change, a siding change, things of that nature. Yep. So these are your much bigger ones that are triggering a land disturbance usually. Yep. Any other planning, zoning questions? Okay, pretty much everything else is business as usual for our Office of the Clerk and maintenance. I will say Matt is, he's doing a great job with his baskets and everything, the flowers. We recently saw this morning that unfortunately somebody's gone through on the south side of Washington Street and pulled a lot of the vegetation out of the baskets. So kind of disheartening to see that somebody who would be walking the street would be pulling on the vegetation and ripping down the ribbons. So I'll talk more to Chief about that one, but I will say if you saw any of that today, it's been cleaned up, but keep an eye out. If you see anything, report it to Chief, please. Event-wise, Julia and I walked this morning to measure out everything for Haymarket Day. So she was able to open up probably an additional 30 spaces based on what she had originally planned, based on our new layout. So she was very excited to get some people off the wait list. That also meant more revenue coming in for the event. So it was a great walk to figure all of that out. We are 20 days out from Haymarket Days, so we'll certainly take any help we can get as we get closer, especially the week of. It'll be a little busy here in Town Hall. I know some of us are at conference through Tuesday, so if there's anybody who's around and could just offer some assistance to Julia, I know she would greatly appreciate the volunteer help. And then that is everything. That's everything I have. Roberto and Alex are working on real estate tax invoices. Alex, will you hold one up? Just the paper for a second. They're switching it up this year. They're sending everything out on blue paper. So a little something that is a little more eye triggering for people. Hopefully it doesn't get to this, but if they are late on their real estate taxes, those will go out on a lighter red paper so they can start to kind of sequence the colors to late. So yeah, they're implementing a couple new changes just to make things a little more eye-catching, but those will go out, I believe, end of this week, early next for that, around the October 5th date, and then they'll be due December 5th, so.
Joe, did
Cool.
you have anything additional?
No, I just wanted to ask a follow-up on the, where is it? The ornament. I forget,
Yes.
what's the ornament this year again?
It is the old post office building, also most recently known as Washington Street Realty. So it was built in 1885. There's a great little write-up about it. It was a old pharmacy drugstore for a long time, and then it became our old post office. The postmaster lived there, so great character and history behind it. We're excited. We'll see. We know we have people interested in the building, but in the chance that we could have it open during our holiday event and do something fun in there, we'll figure that out. But we'll make sure it's showcased very well for the holiday season.
And last question, I noticed under the military banners that they're still accepting applications.
That's correct.
How many spots do we have open?
Probably about 20.
About 20. Okay,
Definitely share it with your neighbors.
Yeah. gonna do that.
And the town is going to be purchasing a couple of them for service members that the town employs. So
Thank
we will have that as well.
Is there anything else?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you,
turn it
Emily.
over to.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. If you want to start on page 8 of your agenda, looking at the stats, you can see we had 163 calls for service in this last monthly period. You can see in the trending data that's up just a little bit, but I think now that we're back to being fully staffed, we'll get it back in line. No real issues or nothing, no real concerns with any of that. And then you can look down on the trending data and break that apart as you see fit. As you know, we obviously do a lot of business checks and residential enhanced patrols. And you can see that is actually still trending up, which is a good thing. The guys are out there being able to prevent more than respond to. Moving on down, our response time has stayed static. Traffic stops this month was at 1:30 with 59 summonses written and 91 warnings given during those stops. And you can see in the August, September 2025 breakdown of the types of summonses that were written. Obviously, speeding is always one of the top contenders for sure. And then the traffic summons data by month and by year. So you can see how that we are tracking in those areas. Nothing has changed on the DMV grant reporting. Our final quarter for this fiscal budget for the DMV NHTSA fiscal budget ends at the end of this month. So not on the first council meeting, but on in October, but the work session, you'll see the ending data for that and can reference that when the time comes. But nothing's changed in those, obviously. To arrest this month. Follow-up hours and calls for service hours, pretty static. Nothing exciting to discuss there. Out-of-town activity was up a little bit. As you can see, it was a little busy around the area, just outside of town, obviously, with our backup and support, and also support coming into us as well. And if you want to look down towards the traffic data, obviously, if you look at the eastbound traffic, which that is the capture point right up here at Sheets and Aldi. 174,000 plus vehicles, call it 175 if you want to round it. And then the breakdown by week. And then added to this chart, on your next chart, excuse me, you'll see the August, September eastbound speed data. Councilman Banyai had asked for I did 4 separate data points to kind of capture a little bit more information. I feel that you could never have really too much data or information. So you can see the breakdown of the speeding on the eastbound capture point. Moving on down to traffic data on westbound. You can see that is static as well. And then, of course, the same chart is added there for that data point collection for the August, September westbound speed data. Obviously, a lot going on this month between training and events. Not to underscore, we are fully integrated with our ALPRs. Our community safety cameras are all operational and working at the 4 points that we've already placed them at in town. They're working very well, capturing really good data. Nothing actionable that we need to concern ourselves. There was actually a couple of stolen tags, but we're out of town before we could get into that area. And then one of those is actually the person who belongs to it. He's still got 1 tag, but since they reported it, the other one's stolen, they're both reporting stolen. But the data captures that and lets us know. And of course, the guys know that it has to be something actionable before they can act without probable cause given or being seen. Our new officer started on September the 24th. Hope to introduce him to you really soon. He just got off of a night shift, 3 nights of night shift. So welcome to Haymarket. But he's doing good. He's excited to be here. Of course, we obviously supported the C-Tracks Think Trains and the Drive Sober Get Pulled Over.
Thank you.
Our DMV grant for 2025-2026 has been approved, and the contract has been ratified for the amount of $20,240. And that grant period will begin October 1st. So just in a couple of days. Training, and of course, you'll see the email that I think you should have already seen the email I sent out on the tactical emergency casualty care. That's specific, for volunteers and those that would be there. which would be gratefully beneficial should we have an issue at Haymarket Day or any other events. And then obviously just a reminder that Coffee with a Cop is Wednesday. We'll be at Chick-fil-A starting at 9 o'clock. I know that the mayor's already given her RSVP. So feel free to stop by and say hey. So,
Are you providing the coffee?
yeah, as soon as you walk up to the line, that lady will take your order right there. So providing, yes. Paying, maybe.
Did anyone, Matt, go ahead.
I don't actually remember if it was from you or if I should have asked the town manager on this, but I did notice that on our calendars for later this week, there is a Stop the Bleed training. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Correct. There sure is. That starts at 5 o'clock is what we decided, right? On Thursday. Right. I think that Matt said that he could do it in about an hour. It's usually a 2-hour class, I think, or did he?
We're planning for 2 hours.
Okay. Plan for 2 to be safe. But basically it's a very good training. You get some hands-on, not with real world experience, but you get some hands-on how to apply tourniquets, and where to apply them. Obviously you're not going to put a tourniquet around somebody's neck.
Yep.
Right? So the basics on that.
Let's not be Bill.
Right. So, if you whip out the first aid kit, you actually know how to use the bleeding stuff that's in it very, very well. Matt is an exceptional trainer. It's what he does for a living. He works for the State Department and many other entities and travels the world doing this. Just the point of being able to attend one of these classes is kind of humbling. He's on a really good job. He does a really good job at everything that he does. So it'd be greatly beneficial, not just a mass casualty incident, but if somebody has a cut or something that's bleeding a little bit more than the normal should be, then you know how to take care of it and you have the equipment that will do that. We have already purchased the equipment we need. It's being shipped for the town halls. Have a first aid kit. Of course, all the officers have first aid and trauma kits as well, and they're already trained in Stop the Bleed. But it is a very good training and highly recommend that you attend.
Yeah, if I could back it up, I asked for a reason because I've actually taken the training before.
Nice.
I've done this for several years because kind of my background is kind of being out with scouts out in the wilderness,
Oh yeah.
taking them out on boats. So yeah, we had to too many times where kids are dumb.
Some
if it's-
adults are too.
So, but no, for anybody, I would highly recommend attending. That's why I asked.
Yeah, it's a well spent couple hours for sure.
And I would just
And then-
add that it was very important for us as staff, and we really hope council will join us, but we do a lot of community events. And yes, our police department's here, but I think it's good for all of us to have some knowledge and awareness and stay tuned because Matt's going to also help us do CPR
good.
training as well that we
Excellent.
want to offer to everyone.
And that's just for staff and council, or is it open to other folks?
We have a limited number. There was a maximum he could have. So if everybody lets me know if you can or cannot make it, we can open it up. But we're trying to keep it staff, council, commission, ARB, kind of the people who would be there on behalf of the town at our events for right now. We
I'm
can look
looking
at
forward to
future
it.
endeavors.
Okay. That's the 2nd of October.
Yes, that's this
Correct.
coming
This Thursday.
Thursday, 5 p.m. here at Town Hall. Chief thinks it'll be an hour, but Matt told me 2. So.
Plan for 2.
Did anybody have anything else?
Yes, so Chief, thank you for including the speed data.
Yes, sir.
Great.
You know,
It's probably because of our officers being preoccupied with other matters such as, you indicated 163 calls for service, right? 130 traffic stops.
Yes, sir.
I'm not surprised about the speed data, right? But at the same time, I think you indicated that we ended up issuing 30 speed-related summons.
Correct.
And again, I think it's because they are, their priority, of course, should be responding to calls for service, right?
Right.
And not, day in, day out, just parked monitoring speeds. But what can we do? I mean, these are high numbers, right? Is there anything that we can do to, I guess we can't.
Well, I'll tell you what we already do. Using these speed signs and being able to collect the data that we
Yeah.
can collect now, we have the officers enhance their patrols when they're doing traffic during the major speeding times. during the times where there's more likely
Right.
to be a speeder present or to be more speeders in that area. The problem is that even if they go right out there at the point of the time and they pull a car over, well, say it's a 1 hour block that we're looking at. They'll be with that car for 20 minutes.
Right.
So at that time, how many speeders go by? Now, when you turn on the blue lights, people tend to slam on the brakes, which is not necessarily a bad thing as far as slowing down, right? But still, you're impacting it, even though you're not writing tickets. So, and if you'll notice at night, a lot of the officers will drive around with their drive lights on. In other words, the little red, blue corner lights, because all it takes is for somebody to see that and they slow down a little bit. And I don't know if I threw the arithmetic out there, you say, let's just take the westbound, and I'm just going to paraphrase on this. If you take the westbound data, 30,000 was above 26. Now, keep it in mind, that's just 1 mile an hour above, up to 41 mile an hour plus above. So if you're going to say that's 30,000 cars, which is just under that, in that same area, in 1 month, you had 120,000 cars come through. So, and most of those were still at that 26 to 30 mark. They weren't at the higher speeds. So yeah, it looks like when you look at it in one data point, it does look like a lot of cars, but we're still being as impactful as we can. And of course, you got the calls for service, you got the protective patrols, the preventive patrols, the enhanced patrols, the physical checks, you got officers getting out and talking to the public, officers getting out and talking to the business. So you try to be everywhere and you try to impact everywhere. You can't just focus on one little area, say that speeding was an issue and we started devoting a lot of time to that. Well, then you're going to have more truancy issues or more larceny issues or more vandalism issues because you're not sitting at the park with your lights on, or you're not sitting in a business area with your lights on because you're working that traffic detail. So you spread yourself out as best you can and try to make sure that no one thing gets ahead of you or gets, over impactful to the town. So that's what we already do. Without the data, the guys would just work traffic when it was a normal rotation. Basically, okay, I've done my checks today. I did my checks right now. I've talked to a few people. Now I'm going to work traffic. Well, now we're saying, okay, no, do your checks, do this, do that. Now work traffic, then go back to doing something else when those high speed time zones go back down. So we're already trying to use the data as best we can.
And I guess I understand you have to prioritize certain things over capturing people speeding, right? I do understand, but this tells me that there are, quite a few cars that are basically not obeying our speed limits, right?
And you're going to have that everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So, but we do the best we can, quite frankly.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to go ahead and throw out about 30 more officers, I'll be glad to put you in traffic unit.
That's okay. I have a feeling that that's
Thanks.
possible.
I had a feeling that you were going to say that.
But I'm not asking for that. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying.
no.
Mary.
No. And one more thing, Mary. I mean, after all, this is we want this to be a walkable town, right?
Right.
So we need to do what we can in order to deter, this amount of speeding. That's all I'm saying, right?
Great.
If possible.
Keep it a pedestrian-friendly town.
Yes.
Mission statement number 1.
Ride-alongs are always welcome, right? So you
That's
can
right.
see what our
That's
officers
right.
are doing.
That's right.
So with regards to the speed enforcement, can you let me know, it's my understanding that the DMV grant does focus a lot of energy and attention to speeding. So in addition, and if that's incorrect, please correct me. So in addition to grant funding, providing essentially an officer dedicated to speeding enforcement, we also have our officer on duty.
Correct.
Okay. How often does that happen?
Well, if you can look at the DMV data.
Okay.
Try to pull that back up here. Get where it's at. Sorry, I'm floating
Nope, I see it.
between about 20 pages. I should have
I
printed
think
it.
it's page 12 is like the
Right,
grant, non-grant, summons and hours. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
so you can look at that. So you can see that in the first quarter, now that's a 3-month period, that 42 hours.
Mhm.
Basically, there was somebody out working specific speed safety, and they call that grant speed, and that's the grant that we have, speed
Right.
safety and occupant protection.
Perfect.
Now, you can do an alcohol grant as well,
Mhm.
but we tend to focus on the speed because the alcohol is it's not as big a problem. Here's what I'm saying.
That's
It's a
good
problem,
thing.
don't get me wrong, no matter where you're at,
Right.
but you're not going to see the same numbers with alcohol as you're going to see with speeding.
Sure.
So we concentrate on the speeding and occupant protection.
Okay,
And then you can look in the second quarter, be 91 hours over 3 months where that person was dedicated.
right,
Now, we've also upticked it in this next grant to throw more hours on there,
okay,
right? And it's a slow roll. You keep moving forward. And we've increased that grant, every year since we've gotten it back.
Mhm.
We've increased the amount of hours that we've asked for and worked.
sure.
So that's kind of your timeframes, and you can just throw it in there. When you divide 42 hours by 3 months, it's not a lot.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is you are dedicating a grant purely to speed enforcement
Correct.
and on top of an officer on duty paid out of general, like the police department's funds. And still, we have 404 people going over 40 miles per hour, down 55. So I would kind of urge council to really think about that. If we want this to be a walkable town, 404 cars going 20-ish, 15, 20 miles over the speed limit, is that catering to our mission to ensure this is safe? Because it just takes one speeding car to hit a pedestrian. And 404 opportunities for that to happen. I would really encourage council to think about supporting the police with more officers, because we very obviously have developed with our need for businesses. We still have our community to care for, and it's very evident that speeding is still an issue. So I appreciate you capturing this, and I think this is the same thing I harp on all the time.
Go ahead, Matt.
644, if you take a look at those, the west end, the east end, so 644.
Sure. So even more.
All right. Joe?
I don't want to answer for you, Chief, because
Feel free.
I used to do some radar, as you know, and I get the concept of it. And the challenge is, once you position yourself right, the effectiveness over time diminishes.
Correct.
Because people know where you are,
Right.
and they're out there talking. And what are the different apps that are out there and what have you. So it behooves us to kind of move around, right? You got to move
Yes.
around and spot your times and whatever, how you do it. But looking at the data, it seems to me that statistically, percentage-wise, we're doing very well. And I think that's what you were saying earlier. Now, of course, we want zero. If we could get zero, we'd love to have zero. But I'm not necessarily sure that enforcement's the only way to do it. I mean, right? We talk about the 4 E's, right? Education, enforcement, so on.
Right. Well, you look there at the numbers and you can see that we did 91 warnings. That's educational moments right there. And there's a lot of times where that's all it takes. That's really what it takes. It's more impactful than a ticket, than a summons would be.
Right.
And I'll tell you my opinion on the apps. I love them. And because the minute that an officer sets out there, even if that officer is not running radar, everybody clicks him.
Yep.
So everybody slows down. Mission accomplished.
Or the
right?
lights. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's the reason for the lights. That's the reason the guys run the lights, is that mission accomplishment. Our mission is not to write a summons. Our mission is to get people to slow down. That's it.
Exactly.
So, those apps help us do that. So I'm an advocate for them.
That's a
Click it
really
in
good
every
point.
time,
Good point.
even when I'm running down the interstate, I click it in, right? Because I want people to slow down, not because I want them to get out of a ticket. I just want them to slow down, right?
Right.
And save themselves a ticket and hire insurance, and God knows only hurting somebody. So I think it's a positive thing. That's just kind of my read on it. Maybe it's a little backwards read, but it's my read.
No, actually, I think that's some very good logic there.
Well, I've never been accused of that.
But the other thing is that we really need to think about is the engineering side. And that's something that we really don't talk about a lot. And we have some limitations on what we can do on Washington Street, I guess, because it's a snow route, state road, yada, yada, yada. But if we could get maybe VDOT give us some opportunities to do some other things, perhaps we can help slow people down also on the engineering side. Traffic calming.
Do keep in
type
mind that
stuff.
the town manager and I open dialogue with VDOT on some of those preventative measures, including speed tables.
Right.
But because it is the snow route,
Right.
not going to happen. It wasn't even a discussion we could move forward. And I think for you, since you had asked for the data, I think that was like 2.5 years ago. So maybe before you were on council, we were looking at the engineering side of it as well.
But I think we need to keep doing that. I mean, I think there's some things we can do, like the rumble strips kind of remind people.
Mhm.
And we have them on major roadways. They're up on 15
Right.
and other places. Or when you're approaching the roundabouts, I guess on 15 up, whatever that roundabout is. But, you know, one of the things that I would like to see, and I don't think we can do it, but we should maybe really try to push for it, is some more passive signage, right? Maybe something like a stop sign every so often. I'm sure VDOT would not look very favorably upon that, but it's always been my kind of a dream. Is how do you get people to slow down? Put out some stop signs.
Well, they have the engineers.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they got the smart people, put them in a room and figure it out, right?
Well, they want throughput, right?
Hmm.
They want throughput. They don't want to slow people down and back up traffic.
Yeah.
Like at Piney Branch, one of the biggest complaints that I see at Piney Branch on Linton Hall is that you have this elementary school, and of course you have a 25-mile speed restriction, just like you do at Tyler. But does everybody do 25? And now, you know, you've got what is it, Rollins Ford Road, just south of that area. And they don't want to put a light in there, but you know, I think for a school there should be a light.
Right.
That's just an example of maybe sometimes we need to have corrective measures in, and we can deal with the other stuff later. So if there was a way we could have some more traffic signals, not necessarily a traffic light,
Mhm.
but traffic signals, like maybe they're going to consider doing a roundabout for QBE in the future. Who knows? I mean,
Right.
anything's possible. That kind of a filter or regulator, so to speak, kind of slows people down.
True.
So if we could do that along the pathway through town, I think that would really help us out a lot.
Gotcha. Well, we'll keep maximizing our efforts, and you know, the guys know that I tell them that that's our object number one, is to keep this a pedestrian friendly town.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, I don't mind the minor fender benders. You're going to have those. You just don't want nobody getting hit.
Yep.
Nobody getting run over, and no high speed crashes.
I'm with you.
So,
Can I ask one more question?
as long as the mayor says it's good, it's her house.
So on the data, I'm curious, the data on the eastbound and the westbound, there's a bit of a disparity on the numbers. Any idea what that might be?
No, not a clue. Maybe just some people don't like the light. Some people,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's a good question.
More
I was-
open space on the west side,
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
people can pick up speed.
yeah, that could be. Right, double lane,
Mhm.
right.
coming in.
As they're coming in, they kind of accelerate from a lot of them are trying to beat, like trying to catch up coming out of the roundabout coming
Right.
in.
Or trying to get around the guy who's in front of them.
Yeah.
In the
Right.
lane. I was just looking at the scale. The scale was off a little bit. and so
Well,
it's like-
And one thing to remember is that is a single data collection point. There's a lot of people that will ride that speed
Yep.
right up until that sign and then let out of it.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, okay, somebody might have been going 41 at that data point, but within 50 yards, they're doing 30. You just don't know, because it'd be almost impossible to collect that much data going all the way through town and tracking the cars.
To beat the dead horse on engineering. I'm going to beat it some more, right? On technology, right? Are there other sources of technology that can help us with that? I mean, what is it? The license plate reader, that doesn't help us. That helps you with crime prevention, I guess, and investigations.
Crime prevention investigation.
Right.
Correct.
But something that could help us on the speed side, I don't think we'd be able to get cameras or something like that.
Well,
But-
there's nothing that
other-
I can think of, but
Right.
technology advances so fast, who knows?
Of course, we wouldn't be able to do that unless, the assembly gave us permission to do that. Right. But, is there other technology out there? Okay, is there something out there?
We'll
that-
keep looking into it.
Yep, okay.
Alexander, you
Okay,
had one?
Chief, quick question. Are the cop cars always in use? Always assigned to a officer?
Yes, most of them are assigned to the officer, but they're not always in use.
Okay.
We don't, it's called hot seating. If you hot seat a car, man, it wears it out really fast.
The reason I'm asking you is that I think in Arlington, Fairfax, I see cop cars, right, just parked.
The dummy
unoccupied
cars.
The dummy cars.
For, to deter, I guess, speeding, crime and so forth. So is that something that we can do here within the town?
Absolutely.
We are doing.
It's,
Yeah, I was
it's,
gonna say
it's
we can.
it's not a problem.
Okay.
The guys already do it to some sort of sense. If they're going to do business checks, they'll usually park their car on Washington and then start walking and do the business checks. They park it there, even though that's not necessarily where they're going to be at. They park it there because they know it slows people down.
But what I'm saying is instead of parking it here in the lot, right?
Mhm.
If it is available, why not just park it somewhere by the park or somewhere just to, as a deterrence, right? That's just
Makes sense.
suggestion, right? So.
Makes sense.
Make sure we put a mannequin in there.
Fauquier did that. Fauquier used to have a mannequin in there. so- Used to.
I was gonna say, we have our Halloween skeleton.
Instead of CPR done.
That's not a bad idea.
All right, is there anything else for Chief?
Thank you, Chief.
No, thank you, Chief.
I would like to add one thing on my part and just get a real quick feedback. You want me to continue to collect this data and do it trending, or is this a snapshot every once in a while you want? I mean, I just want to know how to move forward with the speed data.
My preference would be to keep on collecting it at least for, I don't know for how long, but.
I don't care.
A good picture of that.
Right. Well, I was happy when you asked about it when I went back and looked that it had already collected the data that I needed. Right. I was a little concerned that I might have to give it a certain command, but I didn't. It was already collecting that data. It's no problem. It's just another data point, when I'm looking up that to get the report ready. I think it would be best if we do keep a trending on it as well and maybe look at it in that aspect. And then second part to that is the data points that I have there are the ones that you want. If the 26 to 30, are you really concerned about that? Or are you really looking at when it exceeds that? I just don't want to collect a data point that you don't really care about looking at.
I think we can eliminate that 26 to 30 and just keep the rest.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it is good perspective though, because obviously you guys are overall
Mhm.
effective, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Absolutely.
I think-
When you look at you got to look at the end data. This is a data point, but I don't even want to say it, but
Mhm.
when you look at the motor vehicle crashes we have, they're usually on private property. Usually, they're not on the street. We don't have a pedestrian issue.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Occasionally, you might have somebody who's like, "Hey, that car almost hit me. They didn't stop for a crosswalk or something." But for the most part, we're not seeing a negative end result on a mass scale, like it's just willy-nilly, like, just ride through Haymarket as fast as you want. So,
I think the data could be helpful too in our discussions with the county
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
investment, right? Be able to use some of that data.
Roger that?
I say keep all of the
Yeah,
points.
definitely.
Okay, I just wanted to know how to move forward. That's it.
Chief, can I make one request of you?
Sure.
Looking at the out-of-town activity,
Mhm.
data points, is it possible to break out? I don't even know if it's necessary from my perspective to track when our officers, the times, number of times our officers are going out of town to deliver paperwork to courthouse. I'm more interested about tracking the assistance that we're providing to other officers, right?
Gotcha.
That's what I'm interested in.
All right. Well, we were just collecting that stat as like, okay, there's things we have to do at the courthouse that can't just be done once a month. So we only track that data to show, okay, hey, it's not just a short trip to the courthouse. There's no such thing as a short trip to Manassas. Right? Maybe in mileage, but not in time. So, but no, I can break that out or just get rid of the
Or you can just include it in the, the description.
top number and then just mainly track the data on the backup support.
We can.
Can do.
All right,
All
thanks,
right.
sir.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we have 3 agenda items. The first on the agenda is the monthly financial report. Roberto, are you ready?
Yes,
No.
I'm ready. Is there any specific questions?
You didn't
on
say good evening,
the-
council.
Good evening, council.
Okay.
Now we're better. Okay. Well, I guess I'll start with some
I
highlights.
do have a
then.
question a general one, if you'd like.
Sure.
2 weeks ago, we met and our number, we were in the red, 369,000.
Yes.
Now we're about, what, 50 something and change?
Yes,
Okay.
on this report, yes, but you'll see on the next report, once I have entered, Alexander and I.
I was going to set that up for you later.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
No, so, to that question, you'll see on the first page, page 19, you'll see that this is capturing some of the entries we did last week. At that time, 144,000 out of the real estate. that were entered
Okay.
when this report was created. So as of today, though, right at the beginning of this meeting, Alexandra had completed. All 697 parcels have been entered, the exempt ones included. So right now, it looks like about 322,000 in the black is what we will be. So yeah, that number will change in next week's report, the overall report. One of the things I want to know is in Public Service Corp, those are the properties owned and assessed by the SEC, the utilities and stuff in town, that they go up mainly on the electrical. If you guys remember last year around this time, there was additional conduits, obviously, for the work that's being done outside of the town, but does run through it here. That was assessed a little bit higher. Obviously, it showed that the town has a little bit more return on it. Transient tax. When it comes to the other local taxes, as you can see right now, we're collecting them for 2 months. We should be technically at the 16.4% of the budget, and you can see that we are pretty much surpassed for most of them as of right now. With the exception of obviously sales tax, that's actually on a 2-month delay. So we're still waiting on the August returns.
Right.
We are still doing pretty strong on our interests when it comes to our accounts. I did lock in that one account for a SADAR, a new SADAR at a 4.38. I believe I had spoken to you guys. I was able to negotiate a higher return rate. So that will come to maturity around December 17th or 27, I believe. Great timing to see what we will do if there's any movement yet on any of the projects. Or we could discuss about other investments options on it. The real estate on the rental side, you can see I did make a note on the lease termination of the Washington Street Realty. I think we are in conversations with potential tenants right now for a couple of spaces. I did just receive a attorney reviewed lease for one of the spaces upstairs. So I'll be going ahead and send that over hopefully tonight before the meeting's over. If we do get that, and another potential will be fully rented out on the top of this building. Sponsorships, I can tell you it's not, even though it's not shown here with the events coordinator, we are looking to surpass the sponsorships on what was budgeted. It's a great job to Julia and her work with that. The other thing too, on page 19 at the bottom, you can also see the surplus. This is due to the monies received by the 2 sold SUVs. I've been informed late last week, the chief, that the third one has been sold. We have yet to receive the funds, but that'll be an additional revenue. I think it was 6,100 additional for the old vehicles that we had sold in the surplus market. Any questions on it right now on this?
I was just gonna say that we're at our 25% mark in our budget, right? Because on Wednesday.
We should be on our, we should be, right now we're on our 16th. So September, yeah, 25%. Yep, by the end of September.
And I was just gonna ask, are there, other than the front-loaded stuff that you put in here, that we see in the notes, is there anything that jumps out at you 3 months into the budget that's a concern at the moment?
No. The only thing that we will have to discuss is additional maintenance that we have not foreseen maintenance work. We have to look into how we would fund that. Obviously, it would be worth the surpluses in prior years. Most likely use some of those. I can't tell you because we are, if there's no questions on the revenues, I do want to inform council, finance liaisons have been informed. I have received the FY 2024 draft CAFR. So our audit. So it's getting ready to be finalized. I'm happy to inform council, though it's another 7 years of positive audit. Obviously, I take the opportunity to see where I can better, use better practices, anything I need to be aware of. As of right now, nothing has stuck out that's major, just small little things. As TM has told, I'm working on trying to get an investment policy created for the town that will be following regulations with the state and fellow treasurers. Being part of the Treasury Association, they've actually assisted me with some of that work too. And we will definitely have our finance institute take a look at it, town attorney review it, and then bring it up to council for discussions, obviously before it's voted for approval. Currently, right now, the town does not have a very detailed investment policy. Some of the things that I'm trying to work on is get the town office accredited. And one of the requirements would be to have an investment policy that is approved by the council. Kind of will lay out everything out for the town, how to invest money, what to do and not to do. So those are good things to do for the town. Any questions on any of that?
Anybody? Go ahead, Alex.
Roberto, just curious, how are we trending when it comes to meals tax? It looks like, based on my observation, the vehicles and all, I think they're doing well, especially the new businesses. Just
The meals
curious.
tax?
Yes.
The meals tax. Yes. I mean, I could tell you that there's nothing major. Some of the smaller in-town businesses, I have been working with them doing extensions. Per some of my responsibilities as treasurer, I can work with getting some extensions and stuff, but for the most part, everyone's on par. Everyone's actually doing positive these first 2 months compared to last. Obviously, that's something I track. They're doing really well. The new businesses are doing well. We haven't seen a drop on existing businesses when it comes to, in fact, there's been an increase. Matter of fact, the TOT, if you can see, that's only 2 months, and they're already at 20%. Meals tax as well, as at 18, which should be technically at 16.5. So yeah, as of right now, when it comes to those meals taxes, everything is going in a positive trend. Some are performing better than prior years. There's a few that have dropped a bit, but I can't tell you any specific reason as to why, because they're very few.
Cannibalization as of right now in terms of existing businesses. So
Yes. I mean, I know that some of the businesses that I've talked to, they definitely enjoy the mayor's message. They love that extra promotion, that they're getting as well. So I think it's a great way it benefits everyone. But I definitely will keep you informed if something, is starting to go. But as of right now, things are going on the positive trend compared to last year's, on par to what it should be. So.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you, Roberto.
Mhm.
All right, so we're going to move on to the second item, which is the ordinance for meals tax-free weekend for Haymarket Day.
I already did it once, so I'm not going to say good evening, council. But so this is just our normal annual thing that we like to do for the event. It's the biggest town event we have in the area. I think it's one of the most popular ones too. So it's always been a tradition to do a tax exemption for meals tax when it comes to businesses. With the thought is to always, a way to say thank you to the participants, but also to our local businesses that always see increase in foot traffic. The goal is to always promote our in-town businesses as well. So it's just a way of showing them some love, I guess, to having that exemption of that for those 2 days, when we hope that they'll capture more business than usual.
Does anybody have any comment, question? No?
Did you want to go first? Okay. Yeah, with the meals tax, I mean, I've seen in the past where some businesses do honor it and some businesses don't, mainly because it's too much of a difficulty for them to change their processes just for the weekend. I know it's definitely showing the love to the participation and the attendance of out-of-towners and everything to be able to take advantage of it. But do you really see a cost benefit within this program to reduce the taxes, especially when some businesses honor it and some businesses don't?
So I can tell you in the 7 years I've been here, I haven't heard a major issue when it comes to people having problems with not honoring it. But also what this does too is that we will have vendors here that are that one-time vendor that comes in for them to track meals taxes. To be a department of one with Alexandra's assistance, it'll be kind of hard to track. So in a way, it's more to also make it easier for everyone. I think this year, though, good point you brought up. I think this year too, with the addition of Julia and her app and everything, how she's been able to handle communications with Alexandra to businesses. I think that's something what we'll do is we'll send out a reminder to all our town businesses that the restaurants to remind them that, hey, on these days you won't be liable for the 4% tax on these 2 days. I think that's something that with Julia's assistance we can get out there, the message. I'm not sure on all the systems everyone uses, but I know that if you're giving them time, that's something they can quickly click on and off as an option in their settings. So maybe that's something that, since you were brought up, I could talk to Julia and the TM tomorrow and we can get that message across. Since
And the
it's
communication has to go both ways. The consumer needs to
Correct.
understand that they get a relief too, so that
Correct.
they would come out purposefully.
kind of like a tax exempt for school times. I've seen like the counties do and stuff too. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely work on that. I think that's something we should definitely do. So we'll go ahead and work on it for sure. Thank you.
Just,
Anything else? Alexander?
Robert, if you had to guess the revenue that we're giving up for 2 days, I mean, approximately how much do you think that is?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you,
You'd have to
but
break it out.
no, I couldn't break that out for you. I
Yeah.
couldn't break that out. I couldn't tell you. I could tell you because the numbers we collect are monthly. They're not broken out by weekends or by weekdays. What the difference would be. That's not how much detail we get information from the meals prices. So I could not tell you.
You could do a calculation, but it would be
It
undeniable.
would take,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would be undeniable.
Yeah. I could probably try to figure it out with just the
No, no, no.
existing
I
business,
was-
but yeah,
All right. So were we all in agreement with moving forward with the tax exempt?
yes, so just to be clear, we will work on that communication, consumer and business. And with the assist of Julia and TM, obviously, Alexandra involved in it, but, nothing else. Oh, so this will be voted on, come on back on the Monday's meeting for you guys to officially vote on it. So,
I have to
It'll be a resolution.
speak my piece here, but to me, again, my opinion, I don't think it makes a difference in terms of what you said. People coming specifically to save the meals tax, to go to Chick-fil-A, whatever, I don't think it makes a big difference, to be honest, in my personal opinion, right?
It's minimal,
It's,
but I'm sure there's probably 1% or 2% that would take advantage of it. I mean, purposefully take advantage of it.
Oh, we'll work on making certain that communication's out there.
yeah, and also, I mean, in a way too, I mean, I can always be optimistic about it. I'm hoping that also not every business enjoys the days when it gets hectic too. So the street closures, it could cause, out of normal business traffic. So there's a way to offset that headache or that hiccup they may have for those 2 days too.
Anyone else? All right. So we're going to go to the next item, which is the proposed outdoor events ordinance. Emily?
Yes, give me one moment. So we're on packet page 25,
So,
and Kim handed out a new version for you. The clean version's on the dais. So this is the outdoor event ordinance that we have discussed in detail. However, recent practice, what Chief and I have recently dealt with in the community is that we need to have something in this ordinance that allows us to quickly adapt to a community request to hold an event in a very short timeline. So Chief can also speak from his side of it, but we, as the town, were requested by an outside group to hold a gathering for a vigil for Charlie Kirk at our town park and utilize that space as a community space for people to gather. And so, in speaking with Chief, we kind of went through, we wanted to be able to provide that space for our community to gather, you know, no matter the cause. We want to be able to be that space when our community needs something of that nature. Hopefully it is not for a visual, but those things happen. So I want to ensure that our outdoor events ordinance addresses those types of scenarios that Chief and myself are able to act quickly and be able to go through those steps and make something happen as we see that we're able to. So, Chief, I don't know if you want to add anything on that.
I'll just agree with the town manager that we want to be able to provide that venue. But obviously in short turnarounds, especially when it was something like that, to where, you know, there wasn't going to be that application process time that they had. So you want to be able to do that. But I think there is certain areas that, you know, where you need to dictate these certain guidelines. Not the assembly to gather or speak, but certain other things like, you know, bringing in outside equipment or anything that projects noise or, you know, a voice. There's some things there that we obviously should look at. The impact to the community as well. But I agree totally with the town manager. We want to be able to present that space and make sure it's readily available.
To kind of add to that, some of the other factors that we were initially thinking that, you know, are quick hitters on all of these applications is how is it going to impact our traffic? How is it going to impact our parking? And then general safety concerns. So, you know, those are three of the top things when this request came in that Chief and I we got together. And, you know, quite honestly, we coordinated. We knew that there was a business owner on the east end of town who had a large parking lot and would be open to allowing parking to happen on their space. So, you know, we started putting people in touch with one another the best that we could so that we were supporting our community efforts. But certainly those are some of the factors that we do need to be able to address. So with that, does council want for us to circle back on this so we can take the time to address all of this in this ordinance? Or are we looking to have a separate ordinance to handle those matters?
Matt, you had something to say.
Well, I guess my question is, and first of all, I think you're spot on. I think, you know, the ability to react to something like that and to say, okay, hey, we need to use some common sense to, you know, be able to hold an event like that on our public park, on public land. I'm wondering if that is needed here. And the reason is because this ordinance just from the start says it is applicable only to commercial properties where the expected number exceeds 100. So would we consider the town park in this particular example, with somebody requesting to use that is not a commercial property? It would be considered usage of kind of the town or public land.
So, yes, I think you're right. But that's if they request to use our property.
It's if they were, yeah, that's correct.
So if they're requesting to use a different commercial property in a quick fashion, we would be more likely to say, no, you need to follow this application process. However, do we want to then say, but you could hold it on our property and that gets you a quicker timeline? I'm not as in favor of that option versus had someone come to us, you know, from the get-go, I want to hold this on government-owned property.
All right.
Thank you. I'd be in favor of a separate ordinance with Olan's guidance, particularly because we want to protect people's First Amendment rights. We can obviously, within reason, set limitations as a governing body to ensure safety. But I would take it under Olan's advisement to have a separate ordinance and clearly state maybe the changes I would make here instead would be to clarify that this does not pertain to public assembly and have a separate ordinance to that.
And I think I would, if we take that route, I think I would talk a little further with Olan of what stops or hinders somebody from waiting to the last minute to hold hypothetically a brewery function, but then flag it as a public assembly. I just worry that that would be a fine line that people would.
I think we would have to clarify maybe
abuse.
about for profit, right? Because they can't provide alcohol for free at a brewery. They can't provide free alcohol to the masses. So if they're profiting from it, and they're not a 501c, it's not for the benefit of public awareness or anything like that. I think that'd be the main difference I'd see in that, right?
Okay.
Joe?
So, I mean, I think there's some elements that are similar, would probably be similar to both. But overriding that, I don't know, we don't have any park rules that I can see. So it seems to me that we have to develop town park rules that make sense. And that could be an area where you could focus on whether it's another policy or ordinance or whatever related to the town park. And you could fold that into a town park rules, perhaps. Maybe think about that. One of the other things is unanticipated costs. We have to be aware of. I mean, because it sounds like we had some costs associated with this event. Actually, we had Flags for Heroes, and then we had that, and then we had the VFW the next morning, on Monday morning. And I don't think there was any costs associated with the VFW, but there may have been other costs over the weekend. And I don't even know where that money's coming from, right? So we have to think about that as well. And, that's why you have a process that gives you time to figure out all of those issues in your policy. I'm all for First Amendment rights, and you're going to have these pop-up things anyway. I mean, because that's going to happen. But there's a reason why we have an assemblage thing of 100 people or more.
Yep.
And, is that going to be the same limit in the park? I don't know. Does that make sense? So there's a little bit of thinking to be done here, but I would think you have to have some town park rules to begin with. And, we're doing this public hearing on Monday, right? So I don't think we should slow that down.
Okay.
I think that should continue, so that we can finalize this ordinance anyway. So those are my thoughts on it for now.
Yeah, my biggest concern was that there wasn't necessarily a set number, even like a little range, right? So the number was within the ordinance and then it exceeded the ordinance kind of thing. So that would be.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Got some work for you.
Yeah, well, thank you, council. It's a very thoughtful discussion. I think that, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but it sounds to me like you want me to pursue a separate ordinance that addresses things that happen that are not expected in the community, or people want to gather and voice their opinions, and also pay tribute to people who have passed away unexpectedly. I think we can address that in a separate ordinance and make it, so that we're covering our bases, so that we're not impeding on anyone's First Amendment rights, and also allowing the community to honor people who have passed away unexpectedly. So I'm comfortable either way, but I think if we adopt this ordinance, we will have addressed the issues associated with, when we have events where there's more than 100 people there. We've captured that with this ordinance. I think we could take go in a different direction and address those other gatherings that we may want to have in our community, so we address those as well in a different way.
And
Has the state addressed social gatherings or any type of gatherings of a public sort, associated with like First Amendment rights and all that stuff, that we could just follow their guidelines? Or
Well, the state gives you in its code. It gives you authority to set these kind of parameters for any gatherings you want to have in your town. It doesn't specifically lay out First Amendment rights in terms of gatherings, but it gives you a lot of latitude in terms of the parameters that you set. So what I'll do is prepare an ordinance for you to consider, and we can remove the parameters you don't like and add parameters that you want to include. And that way we'll walk away with something that we're all happy with.
Justin?
I just have a quick question for staff. Are you looking for like a day or like some, like you have to have like, give us notice, like the memorial at the park?
No, I would say the request came in 1 week prior, 5 days prior. We just want to be able
Yeah.
to adapt, and I don't want to put this out there, but if there
Yeah.
are a tragedy in our community, we want to adapt. We want to be
Yeah.
there. We want to support our
course.
community. I think also accompanying that second ordinance should be a policy on use of town-owned property. And so Olon and I can get together on that, because I think that's something that we kind of know how we want to run it. We kind of know how we want to allow people to use our property, whether it's the request for Flags for Heroes or it's, another request. So we'll put together a policy for general use of outside of town hall, the park property, the museum, little parklet, some of those spaces.
Would we also financially, would we add a item line to this, or we would just take it out of somewhere in the budget?
Let's
I don't
think
know.
through that a little further before I answer that question, because I think depending on the request and depending on the use type, there are costs associated. But for example, Flags for Heroes, they ask us to use the park property. All we do is call Miss Utility for them. They set all the flags up. And then we have staff and council attend as part of the community. So very minimal cost in that scenario. But if there needs to be traffic control or other items, then that's where your costs start coming in. So I'd have to think through some of the different requests we've had.
Alexander?
Just curious, how does the county handle similar events? Do we know?
I don't know, but I can add that to our information
Just curious.
discussions. Mhm.
Best practices, benchmark it.
Yeah.
I do have one closed session item that we did not get to. If we could add that to the agenda, I apologize.
To go back in.
So do we need to,
We need
Do we
a
adjourn?
motion.
We need a motion, and it is,
In what
Kim
reference?
has it. She can read it in. You can so move it.
The motion is to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711A29. Discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditures of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Going to Right, so we just came out of closed session and need to certify. May I have a motion?
Council certifies that in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in the closed session and to lawfully permitted to be discussed in a closed session under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as cited in that motion.
So moved. Second.
We need a second.
Yes, sounds good.
Could you do a roll call vote?
Okay, roll call, Casanello,
Aye.
Thurston.
Aye.
Gallagher.
Aye.
Tater.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
DNA.
Aye.
Wonderful. All right, is there any other business?
Move
Is there any other business before town council?
Well, we do need to make a directive
Okay,
to the town staff to proceed as discussed in closed session.
No objection.
no,
No.
No objection.
Okay, now.
now,
Move to adjourn.
okay, I've got a motion.
Second.
Adjourn.
Aye.
Yeah, thank you.
Aye.
Aye.